We're ready to rock and roll. All right. So we are coming to you live from the city of Compton. Indeed. All right, we're actually out here at our listing that we put into escrow and multitasking, getting it done. So we got some appointments this afternoon. We finished, and so we wanted to make sure we could still bring you our weekly training to keep you guys sharp on what's going on in real estate. And, you know, I took some notes on the way up today. I was listening to a couple of podcasts, some really good content on entree leadership. And one of the notes that I took was for those who wish to be great, for those of us who wish to be great at whatever it is that we do, would be to find someone who is already great at what we want to do and ask for help. So if you take away anything from today's training, first and foremost, I would say ask for help. There is no shame in not knowing how to do something. The shame only comes when you fail to do something because there was a resource or a person there who could help us and we failed to reach out. All right, so that's my advice to you. Just if nothing else from today's training, ask for help. We at Century 21 Preferred have a multitude of agents with experience who are willing and able to be able to help you to be the very best that you can be. Following up to ask for help is just that, follow up. Send a thank you note, take that person out to lunch or coffee if that's even possible anymore for how they've helped you out. It just shows that you are putting into practice, again, the things that they've shared with you. Today, we're getting into writing offers that stand out. So as we mentioned last week, it's kind of like maybe a follow-up to the other side of what we talked about last week in regards to multiple offers, is writing that offer that stands out amongst all of those offers so that it can get accepted. So we're going to look at some pieces that I've actually kind of just put together of some offers that we received and what you should be doing, maybe what we would call some best practices, writing offers in these current post-COVID-19 times that you want to talk about, because multiple offers are a reality. And homes are going for over asking price. And I've talked to other agents and I've heard that there's been difficulty getting offers accepted. Who wants to write an offer for a family for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 homes, only to every single time have another offer accepted over theirs? How do we look as agents? Well, you know, we have an obligation, you know, as agents to be extraordinary in what we do. We have an obligation to our clients to do the very best job for them in writing those offers. And these are the things that you're going to want to share with your client of how they can have an opportunity to be number one on those offers. The first one that we see right here on the screen is this little cover letter right here. Now, this one we received from this wonderful family. They actually shared with us some pictures of their family, told us a little bit about themselves, you know, and that they're first-time home buyers, why they love this home. All of that, you can see they're former military, so we can see the service that they provided for our country. This right here is a great first step to getting an offer accepted. Now, what you will notice, and I'm going to just kind of back up just one step, is that everything I have right now is in one PDF. Now, it's interesting because I'll share this story. We got this offer from this family. Unfortunately, it wasn't accepted, but the agent sent me, I think, like 8 or 9 different PDFs. Now, when you send 8 or 9 PDFs and you have 5, 10, whatever amount of offers, something could fall through the crack. This actually fell through the crack. I never saw this letter. We presented the offer, but we never saw this letter because there is the pre-approval, there's the proof of funds, there's the offer, there's the letter, there's the DU that they provided, you know, there's an SPSA that they added later, and so on and so forth. We have all these different pieces. It's like, well, we're trying to see the offer. Like, where's the offer? And so this got missed. So one of the first pieces that I'll tell you as you're taking notes today is whenever you send an offer, take the few minutes to use PDF Joiner or any of the other small PDF. There's a bunch of them that are out there that are free to you to put everything together in one PDF so they can open it up and everything spits out one time. It's very easy to read, and it's going to Again, make your offer stand out so there's not all these little pieces that they're trying to collect when they're sharing, or rather showing your offer. All right, so that's the first step right there, is again, the little letter. This is just have your family, whoever it is, put this together. This isn't you, this is them. Hey guys, you really love this home? Do me a favor. Here's an example of what a letter looks like for a family that's really interested in a home, and we've got multiple offers we're competing against if you really, really love this home and this is the one. All right. The next thing, of course, and we've blocked out some information here to protect these individuals, but this is their proof of funds. The next thing that you want is proof of funds. Don't send a letter, or rather don't send an offer without proof of funds. You are helping them to write the strongest offer possible, and there is an opportunity for you to send this later, and we'll talk about that as we get into the offer. However, get it and send it with the offer. The proof of funds, you'll notice here, this is a bank statement, and it's not a screenshot. Oftentimes you may have or seen your client say, I'm gonna send you a screenshot of my bank account. There's no name attached to that typically. So that could be anybody's bank account. We need solid information that says this is an actual account that this person's on. Of course, we blacked it out here, but you're not gonna black it out there. You will black out, of course, any account numbers and so forth to protect your client, but they're gonna have their name there and that they have this account from whichever banking institution that they're working with. So have that on hand. Tell them, if we're gonna submit an offer, this here has to be going with it. Like, we don't have an offer without this, especially not in the current climate of real estate today. So you wanna make sure you've got that information and you can attach it as well to the offer. And again, they've got all their information. This is a 3-page proof of funds that they provided for us here. Wonderful. Our clients can see that they've got money in the bank. All right. The next piece that you're going to want to send is your pre-approval. All right. Your pre-approval, it's got to go with it. Not a pre-qual, but a pre-approval. And of course, hopefully we know the difference. A pre-qual, just briefly, for those who maybe who are new, pre-qual is just simply a bank had a lender had a conversation, grabbed some documentation from a client, spit it into their system, and then they just spit out a pre-qual at that point. They haven't actually vetted any of this. So you want them to be vetted. You want to be having that conversation with the lender. And I would dare to say this right here, especially when we're working in times like they are right now, in regards to that pre-approval. Have a conversation with the listing agent, and I dare to say, do a 3-way call. I mean, we got to think outside the box. This kind of came to me as I was driving up today. Think outside the box. Have a 3-way conversation with the listing agent and your lender. When you're submitting your offer, about to say, hey, this is my lender, they're on the other call. Do you have any questions that maybe you want to ask the lender? Because I've got them on the phone right now. And just so you guys know, the lender will be there on the phone. If you need to pre-qual, or rather to cross-qualify our client, we're open to that. Have that conversation going forward, because that again is going to strengthen your offer. I was in escrow just recently, back in beginning of, or we were in April, we fell out, we opened back up again, having more issues. Cross-qualifying those buyers is critical now. It's going to save headaches for you and your clients. One of the things is, and regulations are changing. I had a conversation with a lender yesterday, and they were telling me that during the escrow we were in, regulations had actually changed, and they became more stringent. So as these things are changing back and forth, it's good to be having those communications with the lender, letting the other side know that you're having these conversations as well. When you talk to them, because again, something that's critical right now is these credit scores, as always has been, of course. But like, for instance, this pre-approval that came in, look at that. It actually has the guy's credit scores there from the 3 different major credit bureaus that are reporting. Credit scores, like, where are they? Because you can ask someone, well, where is your credit? And you may ask the lender, what does their credit look like? What does it look like? Can you put it on paper? Because if you can put it on paper, this here is a strong buyer. They've got money in the bank. They've got solid credit. So the opportunity for them to close is high. like the likelihood of them to be able to close is extremely high versus someone who's coming in, they've got a mid-6s on their credit scores. And it's like, should something happen, they could drop down. And then, of course, we could lose the whole deal. This guy here, he could afford to lose a couple points should an emergency take place, and he's still going to be well qualified to be able to make that purchase of the property there. So the first thing we talked about is 3 things here. If you're taking these notes, if you'd like a copy of some of this stuff, please feel free to make sure that you reach out to me so that I know. You all have my email or my phone number. A letter from the family. It's going to leaps and bounds above everyone else. They know who the offer's from because realistically speaking, it's just words on a piece of paper. If it's just an offer, like I don't know who these people are. It's just, Tom Johnson and Sarah Jorgensen, whoever they may be, that's all it is. The next thing is have the proof of funds right there. Send it with the offer. And then thirdly is going to be the pre-approval and get those credit scores. Have that 3-way conversation with the listing agent. Say, hey guys, we're serious. I've vetted my client. I've got the lender on the phone. Are there any questions that you need to ask them? Because typically myself, when we're looking over offers, I will call the lender and say, ask those pertinent questions. How long have you been working with this client? Do you foresee any hurdles that we may have, going forward? What is their credit like? Asking these questions, they can ask right there, get all of that done right up front. So again, you have a very strong offer. When the agent sees that, they see I've got a solid agent that I'm going to be able to work with this transaction. We shouldn't have to worry about it falling out of escrow and having to start all over again. Is there any questions or anything that we have covered thus far before we dive into the actual offer itself and start looking at some pieces of that there? Any questions? Feel free to unmute yourselves. You don't just have to listen to me talk.
Doing great, David. I just put a little comment on the group chat, so I'm just putting it in there.
Awesome.
Obviously checking with the lenders. But yeah, you're doing great.
Awesome. Yeah, see, I got my chat box open now, guys. There we go. Didn't have it open. So Tammy, thank you so much. You said great info as well. So glad that you're finding this all very useful for what's going on again in our market today. The interesting thing about I guess the world in general is nothing stays the same. So it's constantly changing. And so we are all adapting right now to this new reality of real estate, and want to make sure that as you guys are out there, you're standing out as you adapt and say, you know what, those agents over there at Century 21 Preferred, they're solid. So we want to make sure that that's the case for all of you. And that's what these trainings are for. If there's ever anything that you have a question about, if there's anything pertinent that you feel we need to be covering, feel free to let us know and we can put together something for that as well. As you'll see at the top of the screen, this is approved, eligible. This just means that they ran it through the system and the system said it was okay. It doesn't need any manual underwriting. So those are just kind of cool signs to see as well when you're looking at this. Here's more like a DU. They've got a whole ton of information in regards to this client and this pre-approval that they sent over. This shows me that some work was done. You see, some work has been done, and there's again, a very high probability that we're going to be able to open and close escrow in a timely fashion. So jumping back over to the offer itself. These are some small things, but these small things can make all the difference in the world. Before you write an offer, I want you to do something. I want you to call the listing agent. Don't just write an offer, send it in the email. I want you to call the listing agent. There's some information that you need to verify. All right. One of the things that you need to verify is the seller's names. Because realist tax, if you're using that, sometimes is wrong. And when you put their name on the offer, if it's wrong, guess what? We have to do a counter for that. We have to fix that. So make a phone call and see who is the seller. Spelling of their name, make sure it's correct. How many sellers are there? All right. The next thing that you want to ask for is who's escrow and who's title. What do you want? We've talked about this in the past. There is a seller's choice escrow now, so you really don't want to put that necessarily in the blank. You can simply call and say, who would you like us to write in for escrow and title? Then that gives you the opportunity, should you choose, to ask for maybe some of those services you all being able to provide. All right, maybe your escrow or your title company. It's a possibility. All right, so those things I need you to do before you send your offer. Have a phone call. You're talking to what's the seller's names, title, and escrow. These things are critical. All right. With one other piece that I want to share before we move on is we've seen now that we're getting, with all these multiple offers, we're getting over asking price. I know Charlene and them, they just put one in escrow like 10K over asking. I know we took over asking on this property here with several. So homes are going for over asking price. However, you still need to be cognizant of where we are in real estate as far as what's going to appraise. So make sure you're doing a very thorough job in running comps for whatever piece of property it is that you're going to put an offer on. Because you can write an offer. We got offers that were 30,000 over, and it was like, that's really exciting that it's 30,000 over, but is the home going to appraise for them? And so the highest offer is not necessarily always the best offer. So make sure you run comps to see, yes, it can go over some, but a drastic amount over, unless it's cash, it really is not the strongest offer. It just means you're just trying to throw it out there and see who you can get to, rather see if you can get them to just jump at this high offer. And then, of course, you get to come back in and renegotiate when it unfortunately does not come in. We're going to walk down now. We're going to talk about a couple things that I want you guys to fill out. All right, I've highlighted in pink things that I don't want you to forget. Of course, this is the AD. This is very simple. We're not going to spend a bunch of time here. We're familiar with this document, but these are things that I want to make sure that they're actually completed on this document for you guys. All right, I want to make sure that our boxes are checked over here for buyers. Check all your boxes. We're going to talk quite a bit about box checking as we continue forward with training today. Make sure that the names, of course, that are there and the signatures, dates, all of your pertinent information, your real estate brokerage firm, your brokerage firm's license number, your name, your license number, and that it's dated. Those things got to be on there. These are the basics, and you would not believe it. These are forgotten so often, little pieces that it says, you know what, we can't even take this offer. We've got to counter, we've got to ask them to fix some things. With the multiple offers that are going on right now, it's a lot easier for them to just be able to say, well, which offer is right? Which agent looks like they know what they're doing? And then quite often times that could be the one that's accepted. Why did I ask you to get that seller's information? Because when you're going through and you're completing all these documents, for instance, like the PRBS and everything else here, there's a space for you to put the seller's information. There's a space for you to put the seller's brokerage firm as well. So you're going to go on the MLS if you don't already have that information, and you're going to put it in here. Of course, it's very simple to put that into the cover sheet in zip forms so that it will populate into all your forms. But if you didn't have that conversation, guess what? You're not going to be able to populate that information. It's not going to be there. And you're going to send it off and say, well, I don't know what the seller's name is. They can write it in and they'll just sign it. That just shows that you're a lazy agent. There's just no other way for me to say it. That's what Paul told me, my mentor. You're a lazy agent. Don't be lazy. All right? Be the great agents that we already know that you are. So make sure that all those things are filled in. Don't miss anything. I highlighted here sellers' names, of course, the buyers' names, and all of their pertinent information for the brokerages as well. Addresses should be at the top of all the documents. You see that we've highlighted that for you as well. Moving down, the same thing applies to the wire fraud, the WFA, because we need all these documents signed, right? So might as well just go ahead and send over, because when they sign the offer, boom, 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 they're going to sign everything one time. You can open escrow. There's nothing missing. This is the part that's so critical. It's all right there, all right? When we get into the offer, it's crazy that I had to do this, but we had to do it. We highlight it and we circle where it says revised 1218. There have been multiple revisions to the RPA. When you go to write your offer, make sure you get the right one. Yes, recently we got one from 2015. We can't even use that offer. It's the wrong document. So make sure that you're paying attention to those small little details when you submit an offer, because it shows if you know what you're doing or not. All right? So now we're going to get into some of the nitty gritty, some of the stuff I really want to cover today in regards to these offers that you're going to be submitting. All right. Things not to miss. Of course, you know who the offer is coming from. That's going to be your buyer. I've highlighted again all these lines, and of course, I can email this to anybody that wants to with the highlights if you so choose to. The property, of course, that's being acquired. Things are missed from time to time, and this is what I want you not to miss. Say, for instance, right over here where it says assessor's parcel number. Sometimes we've seen that these are missed. All this has to be included in your offer, guys. So don't miss it. The full address, I'm on line item 1B, the assessor's parcel number, it's got to be right there. When you put in the price for dollars, of course, it's going to populate the words right there as well. But you know, we missed actually what was really missing. We didn't miss it, but what was missing on a couple of the offers actually that we had was when was close of escrow. This was blank. This has to be completed, and you have two options here. You can check a box here, this first box that's blue. You can have a specific date, or you can have a certain amount of days and you check that box there. Check the box, have the conversation again with the listing agent and say, hey guys, what's a good escrow look like? Are you guys going to be able to close in 30 days? Is that enough time? Can we do it sooner? Do you need more time? And then, of course, have that conversation with the lender, seeing where they are, that you don't overpromise and underdeliver. All right? Critical pieces right there. These guys right here, recommend MLS Connect button. Yes, absolutely, to import a lot of the info to save time. Thank you, Felipe. Very true indeed. If you don't know where that is, it's right there on Zip Forms. Ask us, just right when you're starting your whole offer, it says MLS Connect. You'll type in the MLS number, and it'll populate. It'll even have the picture of the house right there. So when you're in your Zip Forms, you know exactly what you're working with. All right, that'll populate a bunch of that information for you guys. All right, in regards to the listing, the agent, the home, all of that. These little boxes here that are in blue, they're all in blue because, again, these boxes are missed. And too often, the missed boxes can cost you money, and they can cost you getting your offer accepted or not. Because if these boxes right here, which are new to the 2018 revision of the RPA, if they're not checked, the offer's not correct. I've got to sit back and get those boxes checked. You do not, no matter how tempted you are, don't make any corrections, all right? If you're on the other side, to any offer that's missing something like this. Do not amend any signed documents whatsoever. If it's wrong, send it back and have it corrected. Do not get into that practice of saying, oh, it's just a little box. We'll just put a little X in there and move along. If it's not done correctly, send it back to get done right. Protect yourself, best and good practices, all right? So make sure that you've got the agency and the agent that's there and all of the applicable license numbers. These things must be filled in. It looks great when it shows. I had half of the offers that came over didn't even have these boxes checked. They just, well, whatever, we're not going to worry about it. It's not done. It shows me that you're a lazy agent. So that means I'm going to be working with a lazy agent through escrow, right? Who's not going to do things right. Could cost my clients money. It could cost their clients money. It could ruin a deal. Simple little things right here. I want you guys to understand. We're not going to go, again, line by line through the purchase agreement. We're going to spend the vast majority of our time on these first 3 pages because we've extensively covered this in the beginning of the year. My focus today is to help you remember some of the small details that are absolutely pertinent for you to be able to have your offer shine above all the others. And we've already got started with some really good pieces right there in the beginning. These little boxes down here, let the agents know that you know what you're talking about. When you go to put the initial deposit in, it is defaulted to a wire. Electronic funds, as you see here on the screen. Don't have to check other and put wire. It's already done. Don't check any of these other boxes unless it is applicable. It should most of the times be electronic funds. Don't check any boxes. Again, when I see people checking a box that says other and they write in wire right here, that tells me that they don't even know what this contract says. What else don't they know or didn't they pay attention to in here? It says, I've been told many times through the years that my offer was accepted because it's strand above all of the others. I always fill out complete forms. It really is a reflection of you. That's from Tammy. See there? It stood out. I think she wanted to say it standed out above all of the other offers. Yep, stood out. Because it's done right. Like Tammy's been doing this for a long time now. She understands when I'm writing off, I want to get accepted. And I'll tell you very straight, I mean, just straightforward. We got all those offers in the other week. The one that we had to do the least amount of, or actually no corrections on, -1, because they all had one thing checked that we'll talk about here briefly, was the one that we could just sign. It was like, what offer can we just sign and accept? That one there, let's just move forward. The other ones are all similar, but this one here, we can just sign right now. No worries, moving forward. I know what I'm working with. So something to remember right there. Again, thank you so much, Tammy, for your input there. If it's an all cash offer, don't forget to check these little boxes. These little boxes, guys. These little boxes. I know. I've missed boxes. You've heard me tell the story over and over again. It's my $450 box miss that I messed up on. Cost me $450 because I missed the box. All right? Don't miss any boxes. All right? And then the type of loan that's here, remember that this is defaulted to conventional financing is where it begins. And if you want any of the other ones, just check the FHA or the VA. And then, of course, whatever that loan amount is. I'm not going to get into how to calculate that loan amount. That's something that we can cover at another time. But again, you need to know what's the loan amount based on the difference from their earnest money and then what they're coming in out of pocket for the balance there. And that's going to be what we're going to see down here at the bottom. All right, this little balance right here is what they have to come out of pocket apart from their earnest money on line F. And then of course the total balance is right there. If you're ever asking for anything, and right now is not the time to ask for anything, typically, and there's much dispute on where you put it. And so you choose where you want to put it. Make sure it's in there if you need it. The closing cost, typically I'll find it right here on the front page. It's easy to see. It's not hidden in the offer. I like it here personally because it's right on the front, as opposed to some other places where you can put it, asking for closing costs, because the offer looks really good until I get to page 2, right? And there's like, wait a minute, there's closing costs in there. I didn't see that at first. So if you're gonna put it on there, I mean, I recommend, there's other brokers out there that'll tell you differently if you're asking for it. But right now, honestly speaking, is now the time to be asking for closing costs. If you don't need it, now's not the time. Not unless you got a really strong, like over asking price that's gonna be accepted. Again, because it's over asking, because it's just that difficult now with all of the home buyers that are out there looking with no inventory. I mean, there's just nothing out there. We weren't seeing this pre-COVID, and now it is just, it's kind of like its own pandemic, you know, or epidemic, I guess I would say, for what's going on in real estate. See these little boxes right here where it says buyer's initials? Always, always, always make sure you're not missing any initials. See, some of us have gotten a little bit complacent, and you know, you throw everything into zip forms or DocuSign. Mistakes can be made, and I'm going to show you one even makes in DocuSign that I don't want you to miss. Because again, if you got to send it back for missing initials, what offer is ready to go? What agent knows what they're doing? Again, at the top, it's always there, the address and the date, and then I've highlighted the boxes here. Verified and attached. This first line here, H, is for the proof of funds. That's what this is for. All right, check the box, attach. There it is, the beginning. Check the next box that you have a pre-approval attached and ready to go. You have 3 days to get this stuff in, but why would you wait 3 days? Send it immediately. Do your due diligence prior to, tell your clients, before we submit any offers on any property whatsoever, we've got to make sure that we've got your proof of funds and you've got your pre-approval. Tammy says, if your buyer needs closing costs, stack them on top of the purchase price. Make sure the comps are there. I just got $3,000 in closing costs paid for by my buyer. They needed it. See there? But she mentioned a very good point, Tammy. Thank you so much. Check the comps. Make sure that it's going to appraise, because how I can offer and ask for $5,000 over, you know, and need the $5,000 in closing costs, but the home was already overpriced, and then it comes in short. And now I had this situation myself last year where it's like, okay, now the home didn't appraise. Now we're not giving those closing costs. And so if the seller's not going to give those closing costs because the home didn't appraise for that amount and they need X number of dollars to move on, guess what? Now we may lose that deal and have to start all over again. So be mindful of that when you're looking to put those offers in. Will the home appraise? If there's need financing, it's got to be, if it's a cash buyer, who cares, right? They say they'll waive the appraisal. They don't care what the home costs. It's a done deal. But how often does that really happen? You know, 90% of all transactions require some form of financing. All right. Loan contingency, if you wanted to adjust that, of course, there's that box right there for line item J3. If you wanted to reduce it from the 21 days that are there. All right. No loan contingency. You see the little box that there. Of course, these are moving on to your cash buyers in that regard. Sliding right on down, of course, we're going to move to paragraph 4. And if you need, I made this mistake, okay? So, I mean, I can only show you life experiences, guys, all right? I can only tell you life experiences. This is where you check the box if you got to sell a piece of property to purchase another one. If you're contingent, you need the COP. You check this box here, right in the middle on 4B that's lit up here that's blue, all right? You don't put it down here, all right? Because I made the mistake, and I was like, other, and I checked the little box other, and then I wrote like COP in there because I didn't know what I was doing some time ago, all right? But I learned. All right, so don't make the mistakes that I've already made. Here it is, you check the box. It, of course, produces another form of the COP that you're going to get filled out. Don't forget that important little box right there. And if that's the case of your offer, make sure that it's very clear to the buyers, or rather to the sellers, that you are contingent on that sale of that piece of property. All right? The only other thing that's automatically there is going to be the buyer's inspection advisory. Again, keeping these offers super clean. I don't add anything else on here. Leave it alone. If you're at all able to, leave it alone and move forward as is. All right, just the market that we're in right now. Now here's where it gets fun. Of course, we get to ask for some things. You always get to ask for stuff, right? You can ask for anything when you purchase a home. Typically, we'll see line item 7A is the NHD report, right? If you're asking for that, it's typical for the seller to pay the $100 for it. All right, you remember that there's an option for the buyer to pay for that as well. All right, I'm just telling you guys, there's all kinds of ways to strengthen offers, and this is another one right here. If you're trying to just wipe everything off the table, the buyer can pay for that. All right, and just remember, if you want that environmental section of it, make sure you check the box for environmental, and then say who it's going to be prepared for by. Seller's choice, buyer's choice, whatever's going to be filling that little line right there. Often or not, you'll see they'll check the box. Seller shall pay, buyer shall pay, whatever environment, and then they don't even tell you where it's coming from. Right? There's no instructions here. So escrow's gonna be like, what do we do with this? We've got to get this countered out. Or we've got to get it fixed. Don't leave that blank. The next thing, this next line, of course, is where you're typically asking for your termite reports. Right? With the climate that we're in, if you're asking for a termite report, if you're not VA and it's not required that Section 1 work be paid for by someone else, I would recommend that you don't write in Section 1 clearance. Why? Because again, if you write in termite report with Section 1 clearance, the seller is committing to a blank check if they have not already completed a termite work. Again, that's why the conversation is so critical. If you call them and say, hey, you know, have you guys done a termite inspection of the home yet? Oh, actually, we did. You know, there is some Section work 1 that's done, that needs to be done. I've talked to the seller. They've already agreed they're going to get that squared away. Now you can ask for it because you've had the conversation to be able to know what's going on, not just kind of throwing it out there, well, we hope they get it. Why didn't our offer get accepted? You're the agent. How are you going to go back? Well, there was just a lot of offers, not telling them that I didn't do my due diligence and make that necessary phone call. All right, so don't let that happen to you either. All right, that's another little important piece in regards to the termite. Like the one we took, they just took the termite out. They didn't even put it in there. You know what? We're conventional. We're going to do it on our own. Whatever the case, we don't know nothing about the termite. We don't care, right? It's a very clean offer. They're going to figure that stuff out on their end. We like that. That strengthened their offer and put them in first place. The next thing, now this is required. You want to make sure these are done. These are for appraisal purposes. So you've got to have the carbon monoxide, the smoke detectors right there in line item 7B. Seller's typically good for that. I wouldn't recommend necessarily asking the buyer to do that. That's something that's required for the appraisal. So make sure that you're checking that box though, and then who's going to cover that. Now this next little portion right here, you know, I did some more reading on it myself. I just wanted to be 100% sure, and I feel a little bit more confident as well. When we talk about the minimum mandatory government inspections and the retrofits, you know, this stuff across the state is law. It has to be done, but it's not required for at the point of sale. Meaning that these boxes here, you can leave blank. Or you can have the buyer take responsibility for that. Because when I check the boxes here for the seller to take care of that, even though it's not a point of sale, it's something that if something should happen, my seller is on the hook for taking care of that. You know what I do? We just counter them out. So like the only thing that we actually counter, because all of them were asking for this right here, was the only thing that we ended up countering out is this right here. We're like, listen guys, we don't want any responsibility for anything. You guys want the house. It's going to be as is. That's the way that it goes. All right. And they're like, yeah, no problems. We'll take care of it. Again, just do your little research. It's right there on zip forms. There's a whole little, if you go to EPUB on zip forms, you go to all forms, there's a whole document that you can read in regards to, you know, do you need to have it done? All of that right there. Your zip forms in car.org. They'll tell you all about this minimum mandatory retrofits. You know, it is required though in some locations. Like I know San Diego proper, it's required. Like it's a point of sale, so it has to be done. So who's going to do that? Make sure you're having that conversation because we sell all over Southern California, right guys? We don't just sell in Murrieta, Temecula Valley. So make sure that you're having that conversation and you know where the property is located that you're submitting an offer on if that is required. Right? If it is required as a point of sale because of that specific city or municipality, know who's paying for it. Because how much is it going to cost to put in toilets, shower heads, and faucets if it's required, if they're not there? Right? So think about that as well. Any questions on anything that we've covered so far? I know that I'm just kind of going on here. Hopefully you're finding this information invaluable. Any questions, any comments? Mm. I always tell my students for my real estate school, either I do a really good job of teaching, or I'm just so terrible that you don't even know which question to ask first. So hopefully it's the former and not the latter. All right, guys. So we're gonna move right on down. We talked about this in the beginning. We talked about escrow and title. Who's paying for what? Buyer and seller escrow fee. Typically, the buyer's fees are higher than the seller's. Just typical. So don't put 50-50. Just if that's your practice, I would recommend you take it out. Each pay their own. That's the note you want to do. Each pay their own fees. Seller's not paying for nothing for the buyer. Buyer's not selling nothing for the other. All right, and then whatever that's going to be, of course, you can write that in there. Over here for the title insurance, this one here, typically going to be just the seller, but again, there's options out there, guys. There's options. That's why the boxes are on the offer. It's not, this is the way we've always done it, and this is the only way it can be done. All right? Then be familiar with these cool boxes down here. Again, we're looking at these little boxes because these boxes, if they're not marked accordingly, we don't know who's responsible, and we have to counter this stuff out. It just has to be done. Okay? County transfer tax, that's everywhere you go. You're going to have a county transfer tax. There is some cities like Culver City, LA has it. I don't know all the cities. There's a list of cities that have a transfer tax. Find out. If it's in there, put it on there. Or you can be lazy and just say if applicable. That's typically the way that most of us tend to do it, but don't be lazy. Find out. If it's not required, don't even check the box. Like, know what you're talking about. City transfer, is there a city transfer tax? No, so why are we checking a box for it? There's no reason. All right, homeowners association fee. We can ask the seller, they're gonna typically cover that, but what I want you guys to see is something that actually Rebecca showed to me and Christine from Inland Valley has showed us at one time is actually D5. Where it says buyer and seller shall pay HOA fees for preparing all documents other than those required by Civil Code 4525. All right? Check it out. This is extra fees that aren't required. So if you check this box here for a buyer or seller to pay this, and these aren't always required, 99% they're not required, you're gonna make somebody pay for something that they don't even need to pay for. I would recommend that you don't check this box. Just because there's an HOA, you're gonna get the mandatory ones for 4525, not this second one right here. All right, you want more information on that one, please feel free. I've got a little email that I can share with you in regards to the 4525, but you don't need to check this box, guys. HOA, check all the HOA boxes. No, pause, take a break. You don't need to check that one right there. And then Rhonda, she chimed in for 2I and 2 I2. I don't know how you ever call these things. Says you can counter and put seller to pay up to $200. You can always counter and say up to or put limits on. That's a really good practice to have whenever someone sends you an offer and you're going to counter and they're asking the seller to pay for something in his blank check, so to speak. You can say, hey, up until a certain amount. So if there's termite work that wants to be done, and you can counter it back, say, hey, or you can ask the seller to pay up to a certain amount of money, not just write a blank check. So thank you so much for that feedback and that comment, Rhonda. This is the box that I missed. This is the one I don't want you guys to ever miss. If you miss a box, don't let it be this one, because I tell you guys over and over again, this is the one I missed. Who's paying for the home warranty? Check the box, guys. Somebody's got to pay for this. Escrow's third party. They're not supposed to check this box. They're not supposed to figure it out. They're supposed to call you. But in my case, they did not call me. They just chose the buyer. All right. And so then I paid for it. All right. I forgot to check the box. Don't forget to check the box. Open the brochure. Find the plan that your client wants. Put in the amount for that plan and then check all the appropriate boxes. Upgrade. Check the upgrade box. If it's air conditioning, check the air conditioning box. Pool or spa, check that. If it's other, you've got washer, dryer, refrigerator, put that in there as well. It takes but a couple seconds to check the appropriate boxes. The other agencies, I'm dealing with a professional who pays attention to details. And again, I can move forward in confidence with my seller on this offer. All right, if they're ever gonna waive anything like that, of course, you check the little box over there or under paragraph D, 7D, okay? Rolling right on down, we're pretty much almost done here. Stoves, refrigerators, washers, dryers. If they said it's not going, Don't put it in there. Ask the question, right? Ask the question. Agents have had to pay for refrigerators because they asked for things that weren't going, that left. These stories are real, all right? Have the conversation. It is so easy to pick up the phone and says, you guys have that brand new, refrigerator in there, stainless refrigerator. Is that going to stay with the home? Can we ask for that? No, we can't ask for that. Don't check the box. They said no. It's crazy that we have to say this, but it happens. And again, we're here to help you guys be the stellar agents that we know that you are, so that you have that conversation. I'm just reiterating this over and over again. It comes down to communication. I'll share a story with you. All right. This has nothing to do with this right here, but communication. So we're in escrow. I have a lender. I call the lender. No response, leave a message. I call again the lender the next day, leave a message, no response. The next day I call the lender and 3 affiliates in his office and leave messages. One of the voicemails was full, couldn't leave a message, left messages, no response. Called the next day, left a message, no response. I had to send an email stating pretty much, you better call me now or we're gonna have a problem. And I represent the seller. And I'm calling the buyer's lender because we got some issues we need to work out. And then finally, he gives me a call and he's apologetic. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's just terrible of me to just kind of blow you off. Don't be that agent like that lender was. Answer your phone, make the phone call, have the communication. It is incredible how far you can get by just having some simple conversations on the phone. All right. Not a text message, a full-on conversation. It works wonders in this industry and in any industry. All right. This little box, a lot of people forget, actually, right here at the bottom is the brackets on the wall. So many people have their television mounted to the wall. If you don't come down here and check this, it says brackets attached to walls, floors, or ceiling, or any such component, furniture, or item shall remain with the property. So technically, if there's a bracket attached to the wall and then they take it, they weren't allowed to. They weren't allowed to do that according to the contract. So check the box right here. So you guys taking those TVs off the wall? You taking those brackets? No, you're not. Okay, that's great. If I want you to take them, check the box. Will be removed and the holes of the damage shall be repaired but not painted. Check the little box right there. You're taking those brackets, check that little box right there. These are simple little things that I don't want you guys to forget. All right. The other ones here, some other little boxes as we're finishing up. Of course, any questions or comments, feel free to always interject. Buyer intends or not intends to occupy the property. Check that little box right there if they're not moving in to occupy it, if it's a investment piece of property. And then when's escrow, when's the property going to become available? Check it out. Typically it's 6 p.m. when we close a business day when we close escrow, right? But you can check a box for calendar days or a specific date, but check those boxes. I was just talking to somebody in the office the other day, and they're closed escrow, and they're like, oh, yeah, we're closing like a Tuesday. And like, oh, yeah, we're moving out by Friday. And like, wait a minute, you're moving out by Friday? You're supposed to be gone today, Tuesday. People are moving in. Got to have that communication to the people that you guys got to be gone, man. Like, we have the conversation so that nobody's confused, because somebody thinks they still got 2 or 3 days to move out, and the other people thinking that they're moving in, and the moving truck is sitting in the front yard, and the people are still living in the house. All right, you don't want that to happen. So double check those little details as well. All right, I'm going to just scroll down again. You see that you've got the initials on the bottom of each page. This is not included. Actually, let me slow down right here. I didn't want to forget this little piece. Time periods, paragraph 14. Check the box. Thank you, Linda. Absolutely. Check the boxes. All right, these are experienced agents that are telling you this. These guys seen a lot of offers, have a lot going on in their careers, and I can tell you right now, if they were talking on it, they can tell you the offers that they've rejected simply because the agent didn't do a good job on writing it. And you did a serious injustice to your client by not preparing an appropriately completed offer. Seller and buyer's timeframes. If you're going to adjust those, of course, this is the place where you're going to do that. I don't ever really recommend doing this. You want to give your buyers as much time as possible. You can shorten it if they feel like that's something that they will be willing to do, but it's just not something of standard practice that I would do. I've seen it asked for, and we've given it up a couple times, but most of the time, you want to give those guys the appropriate amount of time to do their due diligence. But again, if you're going to be making any of those adjustments, if you're a newer agent, this is, of course, where you make those adjustments to that. I seen one agent was talking to me, and they were telling the buyer the counter was coming back telling the buyer they only had 10 days, and I was like, that's ridiculous. By the time you get a home inspection ordered and get back out there, your 10 days are gone, very quickly. So that doesn't give them a chance to do any other inspections should they choose to do them. Cash offer, you're removing contingencies with the offer. That's your box right there for 14C. You check that little box right there. And I wanted to cover this one right here. All these, these are all the same. Address at the top, initials on all the bottoms of the pages, but right here. For liquidated damages and dispute resolution, these little boxes here, where the first one here in the middle and then the other one right down here at the bottom, these are not required. So if you just dump this into, say, DocuSign, it says here, Linda says, if the close of escrow is shorter than 30 days, then you can adjust the days. Absolutely. Very good. Thank you so much for that. These boxes right here, they're not required. So if you just spit it out, it'll send it over there, and there won't be any boxes. These won't be initialed. So if you're sending that offer over, typically this is going to be signed. Typically everybody's going to agree to liquidated damages, all right? Because that's the maximum 3%, right? And then most of the time they're going to agree to dispute resolution, to either mediate and then to arbitrate afterwards. Have that conversation. Make sure these are checked or these are initialed. Don't forget them. These are forgotten too often, and now I've got to send it back for you to get you guys to execute on that one because you forgot it. Don't miss that either, okay? Moving down here, of course, this is where all your buyer's information is going to go. They're going to sign it. And then here, the seller's names. We talked about this in the beginning. Have their name right here. All they got to do is sign. Put it right there, typed in. Everything is complete. All they have to do is execute the document. And then here at the bottom, all of your information, your email, your address, people need to get in contact with you. An agent might want to send you something in the mail. You don't know, right? And you want to make sure that you can contact by them for all forms as well. So go on the MLS, ask them if they don't have it. All of their pertinent information, telephones, fax numbers, email, address, all the license numbers that are correct. I literally had to call an agent one time because the broker's license number wasn't on the MLS. Couldn't find it anywhere. But we made the phone call. We got that number. We plugged it in. We're golden. We're ready to rock and roll. Don't write it off. Well, I can't find it. I don't know where it is. Well, find it. All right? I'm just going to tell you guys that. Maybe I sound a little bit like Paul, but that's the guy that kind of taught me. Not kind of. That's the guy that was my mentor and has helped me in my career a whole heck of a lot. And then this right here, if Rebecca was on the call, she'll tell you that this one, last page 10 right here, is forgotten so many times. The buyer's initials at the bottom of page 10, because you think you're all done, but you're not. You've got to get those buyer's initials checked right here at the bottom of page 10. When you do all of this, you've got an offer that when it goes over, they're gonna be like, wow, like everything is here. I've got this cool letter. I know who this family is. I see they've got money in the bank. I've got a pre-approval. I've got all my boxes checked. All the pertinent information is displayed. And guess what? It's one file. Like I can hit print and everything comes out. I don't have to go, well, here's this piece. And what is this? And what is that? No, it's all right there together. One document. Guys, this is what you want to do. This is how you're going to, again, stand out. The other one is the buyer's inspection advisory. Of course, that gets signed and sent over. And of course, the consumer privacy advisory as well. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what we have today in regards to getting your offer accepted. If you have taken notes today and you follow these best practices, you have a much greater chance of getting your offer accepted than if you don't. Don't be the lazy agent who says, you know what, I don't know where that information is, or well, then we'll just let them counter it out and then we'll just sign the counter. Have the conversation. That's how we're going to distinguish ourselves from all the rest of the herd that's out there for those agents that don't want to get it done, don't want to spend it. You are a professional, all right? Think of yourself as maybe an attorney. That's the way I kind of look at it, right? If I was going to court, would I want an attorney who kind of like half checks the boxes, kind of maybe does things a little bit, we'll just kind of figure it out. No, like I want you to be the best at what you do. So home buyers and sellers are looking for the very best. And you're going to be the very best if you have these best practices that you use on a daily basis when you are writing offers. Are there any questions, any comments, anything that we've missed? I mean, I don't have all the answers here, guys. Lydia says, great training. Would you email the highlighted forms used today? Thank you. Absolutely, Lydia. We will send that over to you. Anyone else? Any other comments? Any other questions? Again, I don't have all the answers, I consider myself to still be learning. Every day we should realize we're learning. I know some of our, we've got some top producers on here who have been agents for a long, long time, and they're here learning. Why? Because we have to continually grow. We have to continually learn. Because there's two things that happen in anything in life. You either grow or you die. You don't sit here really in the middle. You grow or you die. Sometimes it's kind of hard to distinguish what's going on when you've maybe plateaued. You're growing or you're dying. I want you guys to continue to grow. These trainings are set up so that we can all continue to learn and grow together as real estate is changing by the hour, it seems to be in our world right now. I want the highlighted forms as well. That's Nara. So I've got Nara and Anne-Marie and Lydia. I'm going to send you all those forms. If there's no other questions, no other comments, again, thank you for coming out. You guys that are here, I know you're rock star agents, and looking forward to you guys and just all the success that real estate is going to bring in this upcoming summer, because the market is hot, guys. Grab those listings. You're going to get multiple offers on them. Get your buyers out there showing those homes with your mask or whatever you need. Make it happen. This is the selling season. All right. Take care now.